What if I told you that the worst hero in Marvel Rivals isn't who you think it is, and the best one's been right in front of you this whole time? I'm Dust at Games, and this is going to be my casual tier list for Season 0 of Marvel Rivals.
I should probably explain the tiers before we start. D tier is absolutely garbage. They're very difficult to play and they don't really provide much in the game. C tier is some characters that can do something, but they don't really leave a huge impact. B tier are good characters, characters that you could pick, but some of them might just be a little bit more difficult and harder to use than the others. A tier are characters that are really dominant, really solid, and don't have a lot of weaknesses, but can be shut down by one certain thing. And then the S tier are just the gods of this game, the ones that nobody can touch, and it's always good to have them on your team.
Starting out with the bottom of the barrel, D tier. I don't think any characters are terrible in this game, so there's no F tier. We're starting off with Scarlet Witch. She lands here with her limited mobility, her easy to stun and block ult, and she has very slow damage over time. She doesn't get enough done, and she's only decent with team-ups. Rounding out the D tier is Storm. I've never seen a very good one. She has low damage output and is only half decent with a team-up. I've never really seen her play well with anybody else besides her team-up characters as Thor. Next, we have the start of the C tier. Starting it off, I have Black Widow. For Black Widow, I haven't played her much, but she's very fun to play, but there's clearly a high skill gap involved. It's difficult to hit your headshots, and you will definitely just get washed by the top tier characters of this game. Next up in C tier, we have Squirrel Girl. The thing I hate most about Squirrel Girl is her lackluster ult. Can't hit most flying characters, and it's very easy to avoid. Her regular auto attacks are also difficult to hit. Next up on the list is Wolverine. Now he's my main, so I can't say too many bad things about him, but his damage overall is sort of lackluster when you don't have any of your cooldowns up. He's very hard to kill at times, and he can disturb a fight by taking a tank away. Next up on the C tier, we have Namor. I believe he's shut down pretty easy, but he's also underplayed. I believe if he's played more further in this rank, he can really make a name for himself and get boosted up in the tier list. His squid turrets are sort of lackluster, but they can do damage if you leave them alone. Next up on the list, we got Magic. Magic? I'm not sure. I haven't seen a lot of Magic players, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I believe Magic has decent team-ups and can be a very good character if played correctly, but I think brawlers are zoned pretty easily, especially in this meta right now where some other DPSs just have great mobility and you can't do anything about them. So Magic's in the C tier. Next up, we have our first tank of the video, Captain America. Now, Captain America isn't a terrible tank by any means. He's just lackluster in comparison to the others. I think he has a very low damage output, and I'm never really scared to see one. And I just feel like Captain America does not control the battle as much as he should, especially with his all final character. In C tier, we have Black Panther. I believe this character has a lot of potential, but I just feel like the high skill gap has people struggling at the beginning. He needs to learn how to land his spear for effective poke, in the early game at least. He's fun to play, but I just feel like melee just isn't that good in this game.
Starting off the B tier, we have Magneto. Now, Magneto's a weird option. I feel like he does very poorly in solo cases where he's one-on-one with enemies, but he can work really well with a team. Another gripe I have with him is that timer shield. It doesn't really help that much compared to others in the game like Strange. Following Magneto is Venom. Now, Venom is super easy to play, and I believe he's super fun as well. He's very mobile for a tank, which is good, and he has good diving options. A gripe I have on him, though, is that his attack speed is super slow, and sometimes his damage output is lackluster. His ult is very good, though, getting you with those clumps of enemies when needed. Next up is Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight is a very boring character. Every time I face him, he seems to be just very boring, sitting in the back, doing nothing, really. But one thing I always do notice is he does have crazy healing, and I'm not sure if that's him or if the enemy team actually always has supports when a Moon Knight's playing against me, but I've always noticed his healing is very good, and he can output good damage with his ult, especially if it's in a building, because it doesn't show you that you're in his ult if you're in a building. So that's a good thing about him. But I also do not see very many Moon Knights. Now I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one, but next up for me is Iron Man. The reason I say Iron Man is B tier is because for a casual player like me, his mobility and air movement is just the best in the game. It's really hard to combat somebody who's always flying around, especially when you play melee like me. Not to mention his ult can be game changing. Being able to kill a whole team with just one press of your Q is absurd. Following Iron Man, we have Groot. Now, I think Groot is great. He's very easy to learn, but I think he's difficult to learn at a high level. He's a little bit harder to play with teams, and it's harder to tell when your walls will go up. He punishes very bad players, so I think he's easier to play, and he punishes the worst players in this newer season. Sticking with the Guardians of the Galaxy, next up we have Star-Lord. Now, Star-Lord is annoying to play against. If you main Star-Lord, why? I don't know. Well, he has great damage over time, and he's pretty mobile, but if his cooldowns are done, or if you get stunned playing him, it's sort of game over, because you don't have many escape options. Now we're going to stick to the annoying characters. Next up is Loki. Loki just places his clones all over the battlefield and confuses your team. That's pretty much what I've seen him do. I've never really been dealt damage by Loki and been scared of it. Loki just causes confusion, and he's just really annoying to go against. Other than that, he doesn't really do anything particularly well, so that's why I'm placing him down here in B tier. To round out the B tier, we have my favorite team-up character, Hulk. Now, Hulk is a weird case where he's sort of like D.Va from Overwatch. You get two forms. You get your Hulk form, and you get your Bruce Banner form. Now, I believe Hulk has great survivability, and he's a little bit wonky, but he's very difficult to play. And if you can learn how to play the Hulk, you can be the strongest tank in the game, never going down. Also, the Hulk Wolverine team-up, super fun. I'd suggest it.
To kick off the A tier, we have Thor. Now, the best thing about Thor, in my opinion, is he is a tank that can kill. If you want to play a tank that can do damage and have fun, play Thor. He also has pretty good mobility with his hammer swing, and his ult is also pretty powerful, even though I can never land it. Following that, we have Rocket Raccoon. Now, I'm a big Rocket fan because I enjoy dashing around the map, having fun, and he's also a versatile support who can dash around, heal, give good damage addition to the team, and his poke isn't half bad either, so that's why I'm placing him in A tier. Next, we have what seems to be everybody's favorite character, Punisher. Now, Punisher is pretty fun to play, but he's not really my kind of style. He's very slow, but his damage is off the charts. If he catches you slipping, you will die. Do not use turret on this guy. It is horrible. Just stick to the guns. You like 3-shot tanks. If you headshot him, don't use the turret. It just locks you in one place. That's the only bad thing about Punisher. Just don't use the turret and you'll be fine. After Punisher, I have another one people are going to be mad at because arguably one of the best damages in the game, or DPSs, or whatever you want to call them, Winter Soldier. Now, I have Winter Soldier up here in A tier because he's amazing. That recharge ult is awesome, but I play Wolverine. And anytime I play against a Winter Soldier, it looks something like this.
Get over here, Bucky!
Following that is Psylocke. Now, Psylocke is great. The only problem with her is that you need to set up your combos beforehand. If you don't get in the right position, you're not going to do much as her because using your 2 dashes just to get there, not really going to help. You're going to need those while fighting. But other than that, she's probably one of the best DPSs in the game. Next up, we have an underrated tank, Luna Snow. Now, the thing about Luna is that she doesn't work well if there's only one tank on the board. If there's only one tank, you could put her down in C tier probably, but she works well with 2 tanks. If there's 2 tanks, your team is pretty much going to win. And that's saying a lot, just one support being able to do that much work. But if there's 2 supports even, real game changer. Good healing, and she also has pretty decent utility. Next up is everybody's favorite character in this game, Jeff. Go get that winter skin if you haven't already also. It's free. Free, by the way, free.
Jeff, I think, is awesome. His ult is truly game changing. He can turn the tide of a battle just from pressing Q once, and I think that's completely detrimental. He has great healing to his own team, and also he has great healing to himself. I know he can outpace people whose dashes don't come back. Sorry. I know he can outpace heroes who don't get their dash cooldowns quite in time, so he's also a good pick for beginners. Next up in the A tier is Hawkeye. Now, I think Hawkeye is great. I just think that there's a higher skill gap. You need to land your arrows, and also you need a tank. If you're playing casual like how I have been, it's harder to get those tanks in games because everybody wants to play DPS. Everybody wants to play Jeff. You get the idea. So Hawkeye's sort of a grayish area. I think he could be S tier, but you need a skillful team and a skillful player to get that done. Now for these last two heroes, I was really debating on putting them in S tier, but I decided against it. Next up here is Cloak and Dagger. Now Cloak and Dagger is a special case because Cloak can do a great amount of damage if you're diving into the back lines and you don't sense them, and Dagger is amazing on the healing side, but I feel like there's just something missing from them. There's something that isn't propelling them forward enough that allows them to make S tier. It's something with team composition. I can't really put my finger on it. I believe that's because this game is quite early still, but as we continue playing through Season 0, I believe I will figure out why Cloak and Dagger do not belong in S tier. There's just one thing missing about them. It's something about team composition. I'll get back to you with it. And now the last hero I have in A tier is Mantis. Mantis is great. I can't really find any flaws about it. The only problem is she's underplayed. I only see like one every gaming session I have. Every single session I have, there's only one game where I probably have a Mantis or have a Mantis on the other team. Just an underplayed character. Very good with the stuns. Just if there were more of them, I think she could be a top tier threat. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the S tier. Starting off with Penny Parker. Now, Penny Parker is a gray area. Many people don't like Penny, but I think she is absolutely broken. This is due to her abilities to cut off areas completely with her mines and the ability to anti-dive. Me being a Wolverine main, I really struggle to dive in when the other team has a Penny because I just get lit up from her. It's impossible to dive in on that character, and that's why I believe Penny is an S tier. Finally, an S tier, in my opinion, the best DPS in the game, we have Hela. Now, Hela is super strong because if you just land a headshot twice, even a tank will die from her. She is super powerful. She has a strong ult that allows her to fly with great mobility, and even a baby can pick up Hela and get damage done in this game. Next up in S tier, we have Iron Fist. Now, I don't even have to say a lot about Iron Fist. People are saying plenty of things about Iron Fist, so I'll just be quick. He has 4 jumps, and his healing is off the charts. Not to mention he does more damage the lower health you are, so be careful. He is a real menace out there. Last but not least, we have Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange is broken because his shield has 800 health. Yeah, you heard that right. 800 health. And it covers quite a wide area, and it's not on a timer. You can hold this up for as long as you want. He also has great spells in mobility, allowing you to cast a ring and teleport to a different part of the map. And not to mention his ult is super powerful, making people stop if they're within the area that he's in. He's a great tank and somebody you should try if you're new to the game.
Well, here you have it, my casual Marvel Rivals tier list. Let me know your opinions down in the comments below. Don't forget to follow my Twitch, I'm Dustat Games, and make sure to have yourself a great day. And we're done. Time to upload my first video. What do you mean I forgot Spider-Man? Hey, I'm probably live right now, so if you made it this far, check out that link.